Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Politdigm Podcast. My name is Red, and today I'm joined by my co-host Alpha.
I am once again on the verge of death as I am fucking exhausted.
And today, moving on. And today is the 30th of October,
Spooky
2023,
season.
meaning that it is one day before El Spooky Day.
My favorite, besides Christmas, my favorite holiday, Halloween.
Yeah, because the voices they haunt you, and it's quite familiar.
And it's normalized. And I love horror movies.
I
And
can
can
be a schizophrenic patient, and
I, I
nobody will
can I can dress as myself.
dress
A
as
masked
myself
murderer.
and acknowledge the voices without being looked at as a weirdo. Anyways, today an article came out. It was my week again, and it's
Yeah, I didn't see.
yeah. Alpha had a bit of a. I mean, we mentioned. Did we mention in the last episode why you were so fucked up?
No,
But
I
yeah,
mean I think we might have.
But yeah, Alpha had a math test, which basically took over his whole week. So, and then he had to plan the teacher's murder. So priorities. Um, s-
Uh,
uh,
I didn't murder anyone.
yet that's
Okay,
emphasis on the yet. Soon they will pay for their actions.
okay.
But
TMI, right?
I mean, yeah, they don't need to know.
I
But
do have classmates that listen to this podcast, so you know.
I mean, they probably agree with you though. So
Fair enough.
think about unionize, come together, fight the evil corporate. This
Oh,
case,
don't worry. I'm dealing with them corporates tomorrow.
don't worry. Fight the fight the evil teachers who want to make me die.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, I'm gonna do an experiment. I'm gonna try to introduce cyberpunk lingo into our conversations and see if you notice it or not.
I probably won't because it's become such like second nature to me that I just won't
Yeah.
even like fucking blink. Like I don't know. I won't really notice. But
Well,
anyways,
as long as you don't give me a reason to delta the fuck out of there.
uh, anyways, to get into the before we get into the topic, we of course have to do our customary Patreon plug. Make sure if you want to support us, make sure to support us over at Patreon. If you want to join our community, join our Discord, and if you do both of those things, you'll get access to our podcast Q&A channel where you can submit your questions, which we will answer or try our best to answer at the end of each episode. So, with that being said, what was this week's blog article? It was about AI within just our world and how exactly it is impacting our lives, but in a very specific way. So, we've talked about AI in the past in a previous episode, and we have also talked about a lot of the examples that I bring this week are about stuff that we have mentioned in previous articles and in previous episodes too. But nevertheless, there are good examples, and I think the fact that if you listen to these episodes every week, that also gives you a bit of a context to what it is, so it gives you better understanding. But I specifically talked about how AI is cool. It's a interesting technology, and at the end of the day, there's nothing inherently bad with it, right? There's not. It's not like one of those technologies that they're only they're the only reason they exist is for like a bad reason, right? Like
Like
guns,
a bomb.
like a bomb or like a gun. It's like their only function is to kill. So that's like an inherently bad thing. Like that thing was built. That thing was born to
Built
be.
different. Built for mass murder.
Yeah. So, but AI, there's of course there can be bad AI, there can be good AI, but so there isn't exactly like a predestined rule or thing that says yeah AI is bad. However,
Actually, robots in general do have rules that supposedly prohibit them explicitly from hurting humans no matter their circumstances.
good old rules of robotics.
Yeah.
But I specifically wanted to talk about how AI is being used and how AI cannot or should not be used the way it's been used in the last year or so, which is of course, for example, the usage to completely replace certain people. And of course, if you kind of contextualize yourself into, and putting yourself in a position of a corporation, or as the boss of a company, or the CEO of a company, you can sort of understand why they do it. That doesn't mean that it isn't wrong, but you can kind of comprehend the reasoning, right? It's the idea that you have 10,000 workers, and if you have a single AI that can replace 1,000 of them, that is, at the end of the day, is a lot less paychecks that you have to send out. So you, at the end of the day, you can earn more, and hypothetically speaking, if you feel like it, the other workers can also earn more, but you probably don't. So
Most
that's
likely, you will not.
most likely you will not give a shit, and your own fucking like monthly wage will just like triple or some shit, which is what is happening with Hollywood studios. And that is, the Hollywood studios is a good example. They one of the I used two examples in the article, which were related to the Hollywood strikes. One was related specifically to the actors, because one thing that the actors are fighting for, or trying to fight against, there's many reasons why they are on strike. One of them has to do with basically their contract ended. That's like the main reason. But of course there's other things they're trying to fight for, and one of them is their fight against AI. For example, I think it was Harrison Ford who even talked about how in his last movie, when he had to sign the contract for his last Indiana Jones movie, that he basically like had to sign something that said like that from there on out they like could use his like likeness for anything, like they can use his
No,
voice. Was it not him?
be gone, demons.
Oh,
No, no, that is terrifying.
yeah, they can basically use his voice, his face, like everything to their to their liking. And as I put in the article, I put a little, I mean, it's not really a quote, but it was in quotes, which is basically, it feels like you're selling your soul, right? It's such
Because you are.
a, yeah, it's like, it's such a terrifying like prospect of like, yeah, like if you sign this, like you need to sign this because you want to do this specific job, but like even after you're done with this job, like we own you, like you're ours. And it's, and as before, a couple of years ago, that would happen to actors too, but in a different way, which was like, all right, from now on, you sign, like we sign you to do this one movie, but you also have to do another three movies with our studio, which, whatever, it is what it is. But now it's even worse, because now it's not like, oh, we're not giving you the chance to work another three movies with our in our studio. No, 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 we're not going to give you anything else, but we can use your face in other movies, which,
Your identity is property.
so it's
Property.
it's it's a
Oh my god, I can speak today. I'm so
property,
sorry.
but it's a
Property.
very terrifying prospect, like this idea that your face, your image, even your voice can now be used by anybody, by any studio. And in fact, there's even, I believe I at some point saw a video about this, which was that there's like this entire, like, I think it's a company, or like, what do I call it? Like, it's not a movement. What do you call it? It's
Uh,
shit. Uh,
organization.
a collective, I guess, like a collective effort to basically like try to archive a bunch of like voices and like faces, to be able to use in deepfake technology. For those who don't know, deepfake technology is basically a technology that allows you to recreate people's voices and faces, and with like a bunch of already dead celebrities, right? Meaning
I'm
that,
good.
basically meaning that they can bring these people back to life whenever they want to, either for be a movie or a song or whatever, an advertisement. They can do whatever they want, because they, if they basically own people's like identity
Likeness.
as like as like a thing they can trade, right? It then means that anybody can use your identity, which is scary. Um, of course, there's another example, which was, for example, from a movie that I personally watched, which was the Flash movie, which I unfortunately don't know his name, but there was an actor who also previously played Superman, who unfortunately took his own life because he thought that after playing Superman, he would never amount to anything else and he will never be known as anything else but Superman. And then in the Flash movie, they brought him back to life through deep faking to put him in as Superman, which is like, what the fuck? Like, he
Yeah,
killed
yeah.
himself over this one exact thing, and now you're basically doing the exact thing that is like the cause of his death, essentially.
You are giving him reason.
Yeah, that is awful. Like that, I get
It
what
is beyond scum.
I get that. Like their idea behind it and their reasoning behind it is like they want to do an homage, right, to the actor,
It is not an homage.
and there's nothing wrong with that if you don't have the context of why he is dead, right? For example, another actor, which is a very nice guy, at least from what I'm aware of. Fuck, I can't remember his name now. What the hell? The Batman actor. Fuck, what's his name?
Ben
Adam.
Affleck?
Oh, who?
Not Ben Affleck?
No,
No,
not Ben
wait.
Affleck. The old guy. Shit. Adam West.
Uh,
Adam West. Like he was in the movie,
yeah.
but like
Mhm.
he didn't like he was very well known and he very much liked the fact that he was Batman. Like he very much did like there definitely was like he definitely got stuck with that character. He kind of like never really was able to move on, right? But not that like he himself moved on, like other people didn't let him basically. But he did eventually like kind of like own it, right? Like he kind of took it into his own in his own arms and it was like, right, yeah, I am the
I'm
original
Batman.
I am the goofy ass Batman that everybody loves. But he died unfortunately a couple of years back. But he didn't die like because he killed himself because he was scared that he would always be Batman. No, he just I believe he died of old age. So that is different, right? Like there's still the ethical questioning of like, okay, it's kind of weird putting him in a movie after his death. Of course, you can always
You think
ask
you say?
you can always ask for consent of the family. You can always get access to them, and that's basically the best you can do if you want to do that. Of course, if the actor is well known or would be against that type of stuff, doing it is horrifying. And then on top of that, basically doing it to an actor to put him in like make him into a character that he in a way almost like hated is such a sad and like disturbing like thing that they did because they probably didn't even question like if the actor would have wanted it or not. Um, so that's one. That was like an example of like bringing old people back to life. Another one, which is back, funny enough, Alpha talked about cyberpunk early in this episode, but I saw an article that talked about how in the Polish version of cyberpunk, which some can deem as the original version of the game, but the Polish one of the Polish actors who portrayed one of the main characters in the game. He died between the game launch and the recent
Well,
DLC that
which
came out.
actor?
And basically, they wanted to keep in the actor because he was an iconic voice, and they didn't want to like basically erase him from the game, right? But they got they went to the family, they got their blessing, and they were able to deepfake the voice and be able to create new lines so that they could immortalize that actor as that character. Which to me, that's a good that's like the only good way to do it.
Yeah,
Um, bec-
absolutely. But once again, which actor? Who died?
I don't know who the actor is, like I don't know his name, but the character
Which
is
character?
Victor. For those
Ah, no, the homie.
who know what the game is, you'll know who that is. But if you don't, it doesn't really matter. But that's
Oh,
the
God.
only story that I've heard regarding this type of stuff that I was like, yeah, this is acceptable. This is not scary and creepy and like highly like
Evasive.
evasive and like super wrong and like immoral, etc., etc. So there's that. There's that. Of course, actors, as I going back to what I was saying before, actors are currently trying to fight against this type of stuff happening because they want to make sure that an actor is a human being or at least a being, right? Like a living, breathing being. It can even be dogs because dogs can be actors. Because who hasn't watched a
And they're
dog
good
in a
boys.
film? And they're all good little boys. That sounded wrong. Well, fuck. But you know what I meant. God
Kevin Spacey has joined the chat.
damn it, bro. Bill Cosby has joined the chat.
Oh
Um,
no!
oh no. Yeah, they basically want to make sure that actors, are human beings. Of course, technically I did say the animal thing, but they do frequently put like CG animals in movies when it's like an animal that's like way too dangerous to film with, which is like understandable. Because they're like, no,
Yeah,
no, we must give jobs to the lion actors. Like, bro, like most actors don't want to act next to a fucking lion, so it is it's understandable.
I
There's
had people actually questioning me if the scene in The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio with the bear was done with a real bear, and I was just thinking,
probably
no,
not.
are you fucking stupid?
Unless it's like the nicest bear on fucking earth. No, most likely not.
Nah, no way.
But yeah, like there's definitely that. But they want to make sure that actors are human beings, right? They want to make sure that actors are, portrayed by actual people. And an example that I actually saw on TikTok, which I had to mention
Which
on
I
that
hate. All my homies hate TikTok. Oh my
I
god.
had to mention on this podcast and on the article because it's such a crazy thing that I saw, which was a recent Disney Plus movie, like one of those like Disney movies that like don't even come to like they don't even like they're not even released to theater. They're just like put on like DVD or nowadays to Disney Plus, which was like this shitty like teenager like college high school drama thing about basketball, like the most generic bullshit story imaginable. I think it's called prom pro fuck wait if I can you go check out the name on the article.
I have. Yeah, give me a second.
But it's basically there's this scene whilst they're playing a basketball game where if you look at the crowd of the game you see these weird looking people because the crowd, a part of it is AI.
Prompact.
What?
Prompact.
Yeah. So there's just these
The weird
silly
fucking name.
looking people who are like AI generated. Well, they're not. They're basically like CGI people who are like who use the faces of already existing actors, right, to create background actors, so they don't have to pay for background
Hey, yo,
actors
what the
roles,
fuck?
which
That
is
is extremely scummy.
is extremely scummy. And when you consider that at the end of the day, yes, there are like 90 like the highest percentage of the entertainment industry and the film industry and even the cast of a specific film is going to be background actors that don't have any lines or actors that have like they say two words in the entire film. When you consider that those are the most amount of actors in the film,
They're called
if
extras.
they're yeah, if when they see them only as extras or as something that they can substitute with AI, they're basically recognized that holy shit, all these actors which are, like the ones who probably need those jobs the most, those who aren't big deals, those who get paid like shit wages and basically have to take every single job they can have, otherwise they will be on the streets. They're replacing them with these horrendously ugly, badly created CGI AI fucking creatures,
Bullshit.
which is like holy crap, like that's bad. And one of the things that
Dystopia.
the strikes are trying to fight against is exactly that. Now, to kind of jump, well, I'll get back to this topic, but kind of to showcase a win against this exact issue is that the Writers Guild of America strikes has ended. And one of the things that they were able to get in their new contract was exactly the thing that says that scripts must be written by human beings. Scripts cannot be written by AI, right?
Plugging.
And basically like finding out that a script is written by AI is basically the same like kind is deemed the same as plagiarizing like a script, right? It's just not going to be used because essentially it's not human made, it's not made by the actual person, right? And that is
Yeah.
great. That means that first of all, we're going to get higher quality content because even if there was one or two writers which use the AI to like to work less or whatever, those type of writers are gonna have to work harder. Which again, there are
Yeah.
probably not many of them
Also,
anyways.
I love the
And
idea that we could live in a world where the insult, yo, your movie's so trash, it seems like it was written by an AI, is plausible.
yeah, and it's very very much like a real thing. Like I think that there's definitely, most people can agree that in the last couple of years, like the quality of film and just generally like in the entertainment industry has really gone down, and in the last 2 years it has plummeted really badly. And there's
Marvel.
yeah, Marvel, like, and the other, for example, like Marvel has been using a bunch of AI for a bunch of random shit, which has been, people have not been liking it at all. They used it in posters, they used it in like the end credit scenes of an entire show. So
Really?
yeah, yeah, it's pretty bad. If you want to
Which
Google that,
show?
Invasion.
That show. If you told me that show was written by AI, I would not find that
Yeah,
strange.
you would not question
It's
it.
not
I
good
didn't even
at
watch it, and
all.
from what I saw, I was like, "Holy shit, this looks horrendous." And I'm the type of person who is like willing to watch badly
Y-
written
y-
shows because
Yeah,
I don't care. Even though I'm like hugely into movies and films, like I am, I don't know, I don't really care. So I'll do that fucking like
you are
sacrifice.
the best consumer
Yeah, I'm
they
like the
could ever.
best consumer, but like, and I wouldn't even I wouldn't even make myself watch that. Um, but they were able to get it. They were able to exactly get what they wanted, and that now on, hypothetically speaking, we're gonna get better quality stuff. Hypothetically
Fingers
speaking,
crossed.
um, of course, of course, that is what the actors want to do, and that kind of gets me into what other industries must do. Of course, um, AI does not just affect the entertainment industry. In fact, it definitely affects a lot of primarily industries that have to do with, for example, advertisement and stuff like that. Because basically, AI was originally like stuff like ChatGPT, etc., was basically first marketed as like this SEO wonder tool. If you don't know what SEO means, it means search engine optimization, meaning that basically since ChatGPT, for example, is trained on the internet, it surely knows what is best to present on the internet.
This is false.
It's false and lazy, and what it all, and even if it were true, all it does is create lazy and repetitive texts, titles, arts, etc. Because at the end of the day, if you are doing what is best for an algorithm, you are not doing what is actually best for human beings, if that makes sense, right? Like you can create the most algorithm like friendly content, right?
Yeah, we have talked about the algorithmic biases
Yeah,
in
like you can
another talk.
you can create the perfect, like let's say for example in our case, we can write the perfect article. We can create the perfect article which AI will take, which like no, like an fuck, not an AI, an algorithm like Google, for example, will take and will push it out to millions, right? Because it's the perfect SEO optimized article. Like nothing will ever beat it. It's the best SEO optimized article ever written in humanity, and it will be shown to millions. However, when those millions open the article and it's just absolute ass, because we didn't write it to be quality, we didn't write it with the intention of actually writing something good. We only wrote it with the intention of being the most optimized to promote it. People won't actually like it. So it doesn't matter if those millions of people wrote it, because in fact, from a point of view of creating the best image possible, that is just an atrocity, right? Because you're just showing that you have you give no crap, you don't give a shit about the quality of what you make. And that's a fundamental issue with replacing so many jobs with AI, is the fact that AI is not advanced enough yet to actually be as creative and as intelligent as a human, because humans can look at something abstract and kind of create a story behind it, right? They can look
Fill in
at
the
it.
gap.
They can fill in the gaps. They can look at an abstract painting and try to comprehend. They can try to emotion, like in an emotional way. They can understand what the painter might have been feeling.
Rap. We can look at something that isn't art and say, yeah, this is art.
Yeah, and AI, like it can do that, but not in an authentic way. It can do that because if you tell it to, but it won't actually be able to do that because it's not an actual sentient being, right? So an example, a good example, of course, of the quality thing is, of course, the entertainment industry, because it's something that we are, kind of in contact with daily, most likely. So it becomes very apparent on how low, like how the quality has dipped in terms of content. However, it's definitely when you start looking around you, like when it comes to even like in our area, like in our market, when it comes to like political content or stuff to do with like like news reporting, etc. Like, was it you, Alpha, who told me about like this website or some shit that said like, oh, we don't use AI to write our articles, and then like it was clearly like AI written, or I don't remember.
I might have.
Yeah. So,
It's ringing some bells, but I can't be exactly 100% sure, sir.
but
I
there's
rather I rather not say anything.
yeah, but there's definitely like a lot of cases where you can tell that AI has been used, and it's apparent from like the base, like just basically how it's written, right? Like just the way that it uses a lot of what people uh consider buzzwords, right? They use these words that are very, I mean, they're sure they're correct in the place they're used, and they mean what the person wants them to mean, but they're not used frequently. They're not used in a daily basis. And when you have a sentence that has so many of those words, sentences that try to be so outlandish and so
Like,
expressive to the
even if you use programs like Grammarly, you can always see that there's a difference between the language that is used in the program and what a normal person would actually write, because it's optimized to what is considered. I'm not trying to
acceptable,
say like acceptable, like
what is desirable, like what is the
company
best.
standard. Let's
Yeah,
put it like that.
and like for example, Grammarly is a good example because I am not diagnosed, but I'm pretty fucking dyslexic, and I have a lot of trouble being able to write. And I use Grammarly to be able to correct my spelling issues and stuff like that. And sometimes like I'll write down, like when I'm trying to write down an article, they have like this little AI thing which like tries to like organize your notes, right? And I'll try to like write like a bunch of gibberish down. Like I'm just kind of like writing down my flow of thoughts. And when I try to use that tool to try to organize that information into a coherent like text or a coherent kind of article or whatever it might be, I read it and I'm like, all right, that's cool, but like there's a lot of like the emotion, a lot of the artistic like pizzazz that I had in the original phrasing that is just lost.
It's sterile.
Yeah, it feels like a dead inside version of what I wrote. And whilst it does help me in creating a more structured version of what I had in mind. I then have to rewrite it again to actually bring back that human feel that I wanted, right? To be as uh, outlandish or whatever, to really express what I feel. And in a political point of view, the stuff that we write about, I feel in a lot of situations that I have what can be deemed very extreme opinions about certain aspects of politics. For example, my putrid hatred against capitalism,
Which uh,
and I frequently will write something that says like this filthy, disgusting piece of shit capitalist system, and then
Jesus
like,
Christ.
Grammarly is like, whoa, that's chill, buddy, and it's like this hurtful capitalist system, like it like boils it down because it's trying to like make everything diplomatic, it's trying to make everything like as nice as possible. It has a, bringing back to the last week's topic, it's trying to have a very centrist like perspective on everything,
Oh,
right?
my homie hates centrism.
And so it loses all its pizzazz, if I had
Yeah.
to bring that back. um but yeah, AI
Yeah.
is a
There was
threat.
actually a TV show that I watched recently. She is probably my TV show of the year, which is called The Fall of House Usher, which I won't shut up about with Red.
True.
And it's basically about this family that is the owner of this mega corporation in the pharmaceutical department. And there is a patriarch and a matriarch, which are brother and sister. They are the rulers of the family. Basically, they are twins, And one of the things that happens is that the sister is like a genius. She's a pure genius, and she is writing AI and code in an attempt to achieve immortality. And so she, with the friend of one of their granddaughters, she employed her help to help her create a beta version of this AI. Now, at the end of the show, you see that I'm gonna get into major spoilers. The kid dies, but the AI just keeps going when it comes to the social media, and it's just spewing random bullshit, which at the end of the day just hurts the people that are actually receiving the messages even more because it's just stuck on Nevermore. It's based on Alan Poe, so they had to
Yeah,
put Nevermore somewhere.
it makes sense. It makes sense. Um,
That TV show is really good.
I should watch it, but I can.
You really should.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to the article, one of the things that I wanted to really focus on is this. Like, there's kind of feels like I am trying to get into a centrist point of view, but it's not. Like, there's two extremes, right? There's those people who are like, AI is here to stay. AI is everything. And let's embrace AI to the most insane extent, which you like, at least personally, I have, and there, I hate those videos, which are like these videos of like how to make your life better with AI, and like they're basically selling this idea that you can rebuild your entire life just by using an AI, right? And like you can make millions if you use AI, and like all the same liberal like ideas of like you can be a billionaire if you use AI because that's going to work.
Yeah, get rich fast schemes.
Yeah, exactly. But in this time, it's not even like it's not like the classic get rich quick scheme because they're not personally selling you everything. They're just selling you hope, which is something that I hate
It's
equally, if
even
not more.
scummier.
Because like if you try to sell me something and be like, this is the best product ever, whatever, I can buy it and then agree or not. But like if the only thing you're trying to sell me is hope, false hope, I fucking hate that. But yeah, there's a lot of people like that, and I don't like those. And there's also the people that are like, AI is evil. We should abolish it. It should have never existed. Which I think it's also not true because like at the end of the day, AI does have a use, which is what I want to get into. In a perfect world, in a world where capitalism doesn't exist, in a world where we have all equal rights, where money isn't a problem, where we don't have to worry about working to be able to survive our day-to-day lives, where we can just sit back and relax, or truly focus on what we love doing, and
Work
do
or
it
listen to the fucking Marxists.
and do it not because you have to do it out of survival, but do it because you want to, and because it's something that you're passionate about and something that you care about. In a world like that, AI and robots is the best thing ever because we can program them, we can use them to do the stuff that we don't want to do, right? We can use them to we can create robots that clean toilets or whatever the hell, right? Like all those mundane jobs with those very like manual labor intensive jobs, or even other jobs that we don't want. We can use AI and robots to do that in a perfect world. However, we do not live in a perfect world. We do not live in a world where all these things that I just said are the standard, right? We live in a world where we have to fight to be, we have to work to be able to survive. We have to constantly fight for our rights, otherwise they'll be taken away from us, and we will just live in utter just dystopia, right? And so, when in this world where everything is seemingly so ass, we have a bunch of rich people trying to replace us with robots and AIs in the exact same way that in the ideal world would happen, you're realizing that people who need jobs to survive are being replaced, meaning that they no longer have those jobs that they need to be able to survive. That is the main issue that we have with the way AI is being used. We don't have an AI issue with AI per se. We have an issue with the way it's being used. Like the whole concept of like being afraid that AI is going to take over, right? The robot uprising, and we will have robot overlords. I don't know if that's really ever going to happen. And if it does, whatever, it's too late by the time we probably realize it's happening.
We probably deserve it if that happens.
And at the end of the day, those type of fears are purely they purely come
Hypothetical.
from they're hypothetical, and they purely are born from the our own the I saw somebody talk about it once, and it was a very interesting way to put it, which is that we are afraid that a robot will treat us the same way that we treat other living beings on Earth.
Yeah.
And ever since I heard that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, we are afraid that robots and AI will treat us the same way that we are to others, and that terrifies the fuck out of us. Um, and so that's not exactly what I'm worried about, because that's a very sci-fi and very hypothetical issue which might never happen, and whatever the
You make
hell.
it extremely fucking specific.
And it's, yeah, it's extremely very it's extremely specific, and is basically just built upon just years of sci-fi films, which, what the fuck. So
We
it is
do
what it
enjoy
is.
our sci-fi films, but enough is enough.
But what we truly need to focus on is the fact that AI is being used to damage us. And it's not being, it's not the AI uprising or the robot uprising. It's other human beings using, oops, pardon me, is using robots and AI to fuck us over. And that is, in a way, much worse. Because, the whole concept of a robot having, suddenly getting consciousness and realizing that, oh, humans are a pest and they must be removed, I can agree with that. I can agree that
Yes,
we are a bit
obviously
of
where
a
they come from.
I can agree that we are a bit of a pest, right? I can agree that we definitely are, like, from an objective point of view, like, we are destroying the planet, we are destroying other living beings, we destroy ourselves. If you are a robot that looks at it in a pure mathematical, like a very unemotional way of it, yeah, we are the worst, right? We are so bad. But when
Degenerates that
when
we are.
we when these tools are being used to by humans to just destroy other humans' lives is such a mind-boggling, like, thing.
Shit show.
Because at the end of the day, all AI and robots are being, and robots, it is what it is, because, like, robots, like, are that's the robot scare, right? Like, this idea that, like, robots are going to take over has kind of dialed down when it comes to, like, actual, like, labor, right? Because at the end of the day, we use robots for, like, highly intensive stuff, like picking up an entire chassis of a car, which, is not exactly something that you can do with human beings. But when it comes to purely focusing on AI, when you take into account that AI is purely being currently used in industries to displace people of their jobs and basically make the richer even richer, it's it's not right. It just should not be that way.
It's always the age-old fucking problem. The people that need help the most are the ones
Who suffer the most?
that suffer the most, and those that could benefit it could benefit from help the least are the ones that suffer the most.
So to kind of bundle up everything nice into a bit of a conclusion, is that AI is a great tool. It's a tool that has definitely the last couple of months or year, whatever the time frame you want to put it into, has definitely changed our lives. We've talked about it before, for example, when it comes to the school life, right? Like, where you have a school system that
Yeah, the education.
is highly focused on work, on, like, certain work or assignments that can be easily created by AI. Of course, students are going to be smart and do it. Of course, at the end of the day, it's in the long run, it's going to be quite bad for them, because if they're not actually, doing these things when they actually need to have this knowledge, or the knowledge that a specific assignment was created for, so that they can gather that knowledge, it's going to basically dumb us down, right? It's going to slowly make us dumber,
Yeah.
whether you want it or not. Which proves to me, of course, that we need to restructure the education system. But generally, what I want to say is that AI has come to once again showcase all the fucking bad things about capitalism, and has only shown that it's only exacerbating the issues that are created by a capitalist system. Because AI is the capitalist's wet dream. It's everything they want. It's something that they can exploit indefinitely without it ever complaining, without it ever unionizing against them. And if they do, then yes, it's the robot uprising, which again, whatever, what the fuck. And at that point, we probably deserve it. And they can replace the people who can complain, the people who can unionize, the people who can stop them from doing what they want. AI, as it currently stands, is the capitalist wet dream. And we can't just stand around and just accept it because it's affecting us whether we want it or not. It's affecting the content we watch. It's affecting the way we think. It's affecting our creativity. It's inherently dumbing us down because we have created a system that doesn't actually value what we create, but rather if it is created. It does we don't care about quality. We care only about quantity. And so that
Yeah.
is inherently a bad thing. And at the end of the day, there's definitely going to be a lot of people that are just like, yeah, but just companies need to be nice and they need to stop using this because it's bad. And whilst I agree with you, the problem is how. Because of course there's going to be the liberal take to it. There's going to be the liberal opinion, which is the idea that it's going to have to be the corporations that, in their goodwill, they stop using AI, which will
And then you
never
have the different take, which is that's not going to happen because corporations
don't give a
are
shit.
the devil. That's why we have something else called legislations and laws, which, even if they are ineffective in a lot of cases, can still do some good.
Yeah, what we need is regulation in the workplace regarding AI. What we need at the end of the day is a whole restructure and the abolishment of the capitalist system. But that is not the topic of this week.
Holy
It's
shit.
but it's
Yeah.
true. That is the bigger issue here. But at a smaller scale, if we want to focus purely on this specific topic, what we need is regulation in the workplace regarding AI, which is why I focus so heavily on the examples of the SAG-AFTRA union and the WGA union, because one has achieved it and the other one is trying to achieve it. And it's sooner or later it's going to happen to other industries, other unions are going to have to rise and fight against this, because until they do, until we are no longer only fighting against corporations, but that unions come together and basically go straight to the government and go, hey, we need regulation on this. We need regulation on this specific problem. Otherwise, the entire workforce is going to be fucked. And of course, at the end of the day, whilst you might live in a country that has a highly capitalist government like the U.S. Or other places in the world, having so many displaced people, having so many people without jobs, is not good in any system, right? And I do think maybe I'm being too hopeful, maybe I'm being too positive, but I do think that at some point, even in a capitalist government, I think that at some point they're going to go and think, oh shit, like having this many poor people means that we can no longer sell the things we create. We no longer have an audience, right? We no longer have customers, which means that they're going to essentially be forced to at some point create legislation, whether they want it or not. Which to us is, to us Marxists is a fucking W, and us leftists is a W because we recognize that as the end goal at the end of the day. And that's kind of the issue that we always have with capitalism, is that they kind of come to the same conclusions that leftist ideologies do, but just way too late. And then when they try to fix it, they try to half-ass it because they don't really care, and at the end of the day, they just want money. So it is what it is. But
Okay.
to focus on people who just want money and don't give a fuck about anybody, I want to mention something that's funny, something that I
Yeah, you
mentioned,
mentioned you had a surprise for me.
yeah, which will be a perfect segue into the next topic, which is not really a new topic, but more of an update, which is that apparently, for those who know, Elon Musk owns a company called SpaceX, which has a
Yeah.
product known as Starlink. Now, what is Starlink? It's basically this network of satellites, which, if you have like a small little dish, like a little internet dish or whatever you want to call it, you can basically have a wireless Wi-Fi that comes from space. if you
Yeah.
want to put it
A lot
in
of troops
shitty.
in Ukraine were actually
Exactly.
using Starlink and then got fucked because Elon cut the access.
Exactly. In the same vein, Elon Musk offered to activate Starlink in Palestine, in the Gaza Strip. Now, I have there's a W and an L, right? There's a good thing and a bad thing here. The good thing is that's a good thing. Currently, Israel has completely cut off the Gaza Strip of any communications, and basically what that means is that that allows them to bombard them even more without anybody knowing, which is basically like a way for them to clear their tracks, right? And and of course, there's the bad thing, which is why does Elon want to do this? The reason they might want to do this is probably a PR reason, right? Currently, his his public image is trash. He's fucked, right? And so seeing all the discourse between people who are supporting Israel and people who are supporting Palestinians, most people will see the choice of going pro Palestine as like this very progressive idea, right? Which is funny because he's like constantly talking, he's constantly reposting fascist ideas, and he's constantly saying to stop wokeness. So it's like you can't consistently make it like your daily routine to shit on wokeness and then use the wokeness to like make your brand look better, right? It's a like, a bunch of hypocrisy, right? There's that. I've also a funny, not funny theory, which is because he just hates Jews so much that he wants to be pro Palestine, which is funny in the sense in like a morbid, like a very morbid comedy, which I hope is not what is true. But Israel, being the piece of shit that they are, to put it bluntly, refused access to Starlink because, as I said before, Starlink can only be used if they have those small little dishes, which means that Israel has to let those small little dishes into the Gaza Strip alongside the other humanitarian uh, stuff like resources. I forgot the word resources, but they refused. And the funny thing is, I saw somebody say this, which is, you are in the wrong when when you are basically like when Elon Musk is on the opposite side of you. When Elon Musk, being the piece of shit that he is somehow in a better in like in the be- in is in the correct side of history, right? Which I find so funny. The idea that
Well,
that uh, that Elon Musk wants to send the dishes to Israel. That Israel, not Israel, the Gaza Strip. Israel is basically saying no, we don't want you to, meaning that at the end of the day, somehow Israel is so fucked that somehow they make Elon Musk look good.
wait, can you repeat?
What Elon Musk wants to send the dishes, right?
Yeah,
So they
the
can
Starlink.
so they have access to Starlink, but Israel said no, right? They said no because they don't want to, because they of course want to, make sure that nobody in Palestine has access to the internet, right? And
Yeah.
I saw somebody basically saying that you're on the wrong side of history when even Elon Musk looks better than you, uh, is like in a better position than you.
I'll be honest, I'm completely fucking lost on this one.
Okay, whatever. Let's move on. um, so moving on to the broader issues with the current war, or whatever you want to call it.
War. It is
Yes,
a
oh, it's
war.
definitely a war. I
Also,
was going to call it the genocide, but
it,
that's what's
it's also a genocide.
going on between Palestine and Israel. Now, we talked 2 podcasts ago. That was the main topic. Of course, there's been many updates since then. And of course, I think that it's only right that each episode we try to give a little spot to it, because what's going on is pretty bad. We've gone from, being this thing which was bad to being holy shit, they're actually like openly stating that they want to commit genocide, and that is insane, right? Of course, they have committed many war crimes. One of them
Many
being
war crimes.
which is, I wouldn't say it's the worst one because they're all bad, but one which is the scariest one was is collective collective punishment, right? Which is this idea that Hamas is the bad guys, but Palestinians have to suffer for what Hamas has done. That is bad. That is a war crime
Yeah.
by definition from the Geneva Convention. Because for the wrongdoings of one extremist group, the entire Gaza, population can suffer for that. Of course, there's the casual, very casual murder of thousands of children, and thousands of other people. There's of course the destroying, the bombarding of hospitals, of just things that people need to survive. Those are all war crimes, right? And it's still so saddening to see that there's somehow so many people that are aware of this and still choose to side with Israel. And one thing that I wanted to focus on primarily is how there has been two letters created. Maybe you're aware of this, Alpha.
Probably not.
One letter being in support of Biden. These are two letters addressed to Biden. One being in support of Biden, basically saying, "Thank you, President. Thank you for what you have done. Thank you for supporting the people of Israel, and thank you for trying to stop terrorism." And it's shocking. And these letters were written and signed by artists, right? Actors, singers, whatever. And to me, somebody that so much cares about the entertainment industry, it is very saddening to see the people who signed that letter. People which I would have never expected. People like Sacha Baron Cohen, known for Borat and The Dictator. Two movies which mostly The Dictator, a movie that I would think that would showcase that he would be aware of how bad what Israel is doing is. But no, surprisingly enough. And many other actors, which I was very disappointed to read. Actors that I like Paul Rudd. Um, and of course, there's many questions that can be asked towards this specific letter, like do they actually support it, or were they essentially pressured to sign it because of PR reasons, or because of God knows, right? Like we don't know what the fuck is going on in the entertainment industry. Of course, there's been the classic anti-Semitic point of view, which is, oh, they're only doing it because they're corporate Jewish overlords of the entertainment
Left.
industry is making them sign it, which is like very shit take to have.
It is beyond shit. It is. It
It's
is.
the entire sewer.
It is categorically wrong.
Yeah. And of course there's that perspective, but there I can agree with the assessment, which is that a lot of the entertainment industry is very much pro Israel, and that there's definitely it's in their interest to be pro Israel. Not because they're Jewish, but purely because of, just how America sees Israel.
Yeah, I've
Um
seen floating around that meme, which is like, you support Palestine because you believe in human rights. I support Palestine because I'm anti-Semitic.
yeah, that's also a funny thing, because I don't know if you knew this. Do you know what like being Semitic means?
No.
So you know how like we who speak Portuguese speak a Latin language,
Yeah.
Arabic, and guess what? Hebrew are Semitic languages.
Oh. Oh, I did
So
not see this coming.
so technically speaking, from the point of view of language, being anti-Semitic is being, well, racist against um, Jewish people and also Arabic people. So
That
say,
checked out.
so saying that if supporting Palestine you're being anti-Semitic towards Israel, supporting Israel you're being anti-Semitic towards Palestine. So take that as you will. Just a little fun fact, which means that if you support Palestine because if you hate Jewish people, or you support Palestine, or you support Israel because you hate Muslim people, or and you hate Islam, then you're anti-Semitic, supposedly from both sides, right? So that's fun. I didn't know that, so just a little fun fact that I learned about
God,
it.
I love racism.
God, I love racists being dumb. Like they're definitely like to be racist, you must be dumb. Like being, I mean, there was like a study that showed that like homophobic and transphobic people had a tendency to have a lower intelligence coefficient. So coefficient
Also known as IQ.
IQ, yeah. So that's not, it's not coefficient, it's I don't remember how to say the word, but yeah, IQ. So they had a lower IQ, which is it's yeah, I can see the
Yeah, I can
correlation.
see that one.
I can see that one working out. Um, but yeah, it's definitely something that's pretty bad. I've seen a lot of um sorry, no, let's go back to the letters. Sorry, let's go back to the letters. There's also a letter that is asking for a ceasefire, which is signed by a lot of my favorite actors, which I was also very happy about. Actors like, who is an actor that is well known by everybody? Uh, Shit.
Yeah,
Would I be right to say Pedro Pascal? I think. Oh,
I'll be honest.
Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield was on that.
I have no clue what you said because your microphone cut out. So
Oh,
I am not going to agree.
oh, I said that there was a letter for a ceasefire, and that people like Andrew Garfield signed it.
I know he was goaded,
Yeah, so he's good with the sauce, as you would say.
busting
Um,
it. Okay, this.
but yeah, there's two letters, and I honestly I was very sad to see the people who signed the other letter. Like I it definitely broke my heart seeing, and a lot of people who just signed it, unless some you could understand, like Paul Rudd because he himself is a Jewish man. Adam Sandler, the same thing, which
Adam Sandler is weird.
whilst within their ignorance, you can assume like sure they have Israeli families and they maybe don't know much about this issue, and they were just kind of like, yeah, they support Israel, whatever, which is not
Yeah.
great, but like because if you support Israel, you're supporting an apartheid, you're supporting an oppressor, etc., etc. Like we've been over this. It's bad. Um, but uh, there's definitely people there who are, I wouldn't say showboating, but definitely feels like it. People who are definitely should be smarter than that, who are very pro Israel, like very pro Israel. They're very much Zionists, right? They are in the depth of it, like the writer of the show Stranger Things, or like the main creator of that show.
Really?
Yeah,
Aw.
who went on Instagram to basically, who was like singing for some reason, saying that like smart, like you say you're smart. It was basically like, I don't know what the fuck he sang, but it basically kind of went along the lines of like you claim you're smart but you don't read history, and basically this was saying that like he's pro-Israel because he knows about history, and if you support
He's
Palestine you're being
idiotic
stupid.
because I'm pro Palestine because I know about history.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of like something that surprisingly I don't think you touched upon on the article, not or the episode, which was the fact that like this idea that like this has been like a war or a conflict that's been going on since the dawn of time, which is not
Nah.
true. That's not true. That's this idea that like Jewish people and Arabic people have been duking it out in the Holy Land for centuries
Jewish people have been getting their ship burned consistently by
is
everyone.
um, which is not true. And there's this false idea that, of course, the whole concept behind Zionism is the idea that there is a Holy Land, which for b- just taking into account the fact that at Politdigm we are atheists, that's like okay, what the
Yeah.
fuck. Um, whilst I have no issue, like for example, like there's other religions that have the concept of like this of holy places, right? Places that they guard and they see as like an important beacon of their religion. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. But this idea that for some reason you own that piece of land where that thing is because it's just related to your heritage as a insert religion here is like is very weird, right? I've seen a lot of like,
Also, that is a sentiment that is not shared by a lot of Jewish people.
yeah, I know
I
that's
want to make that extremely fucking clear.
yeah,
A very big part of the modern Jewish sect instantly claimed within the rise of Zionism in the later part of the 19th century that a return to Zion, a return to Israel, was not something that should be looked forward to, that they were fine in diaspora, in the great scouring.
yeah, and it's like it's also weird from like a point of view of like I don't know, like when you look at World War II, right, and you consider that like Jews were like afraid, very afraid to their lives, mostly in Europe, right? They were being hunted down as cattle, right, almost, and so when you consider that, like you can say that like the idea that they're like going to be put away so that they're safe is like there's many things to me from like an ethical point of view that's wrong with that. One
Now, they
is
actually, I'm gonna correct you something. Uh, During the build up to World War II, there was in fact a massive influx of Jewish people to Palestine,
yeah,
and there were a lot of revolts by the Arab Palestinian population as a result.
yeah,
And as a consequence, the British people prohibited in 1939 by the White Paper Agreement or something like that, that there couldn't be any more migration of Jewish people to Palestine. The thing is, that kept going until the end of the war. And when that wasn't lifted, there were a lot of smuggling operations that were taking place to help Jewish people flee to Israel. The problem is, the English troops in Israel blockaded the ships that were transporting these immigrants. And as a result, the Jewish militias inside Palestine, started an armed conflict within Palestine itself against the British troops, which started with a bombing of an official building, which killed over 90 people.
no, it was when I meant I was trying to say is like the idea of like creating like the idea which is very much what America has tried to sell as like why they support Israel, right? Is this idea that after the war, Israel needed to be kind of legitimized, right? Because the US only cares about it because it's in the Middle East and they want to control the Middle East. That's just let's get that straight. That's the number one reason why they support Israel. They could not give a fuck about Israel from like an actual caring about the people. They only care about power in the Middle East. It's America. We know them. Like it's the same shit over and over again, right? But like what I'm trying to say is that currently in the modern day, there's this idea that like Israel and like the reason why like Zionism is good is because after the World War, Jews needed to be essentially put there for their safety, right? I'm not saying that's what it actually was, and I'm not saying that most people agree with that, but I've definitely seen a high like a lot of people, at least on like brain rotten social media
Which is
people.
categorically wrong because, as I just talked about, that's not
Yeah,
happening.
I'm not saying that's what's happened. I'm just saying that that's like what is like that is what they say is the reason,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Well, you know what's a great thing that those people could do? Read my blog. Uh,
bro, it sounds like I don't know why that sounded like such like like a fucking sentence that would be in a Rick and Morty episode of like just some
yeah.
random alien going around. Read my blog, please. Read my blog. I don't know
But yeah,
why.
as we have been closing in to over an hour on this episode,
Yeah,
I do have to say, I think we have exhausted this topic,
yeah.
and
For
at
this
this,
week.
yeah, and at this point, the whole situation in Israel Palestine, it should be talked about, but it saddens me to a point of disgust, really.
Yeah, and I think that I'm honestly when I talk about it, when I am like researching about it, I'm very scared of what is going to be happening in the next couple of weeks
Yep.
because
Well, at least the United States of America already said that they won't be sending troops. So
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the United States is still indirectly supporting a genocide of an entire
yeah,
population, and that is,
we'll have to.
and when you have the U.S. behind the genocide, it's going to happen.
It
That
is not the first time.
that is usually, if you look back at history, that is what history has told us, is when the U.S. wants a genocide, it's probably going to happen. So I
Yeah,
am
the Native Americans.
so I am, I'm mortified for the people of Palestine. Whilst I've
Yeah,
also seen a lot of people being like, oh, why do leftists and why do woke people support Palestine when Palestinians by themselves do not support wokeness? It's like, homeboy, like, I don't give a shit that they don't.
that is not how it works. If someone had a gun to your head and you were a
Like,
conservative
if I
person,
were
try not to end in a situation where you were fucking dead.
like, I don't give a shit if the Islamic people, as the that Muslims in Palestine don't agree with my worldviews. I don't want them to die. I don't want them to be fucking murdered for no reason, right? I don't care if they agree with my leftist and Marxist views. I don't care. That doesn't matter. That doesn't make them less of people. That is, I don't. I'm not out here.
That speaks volumes to those to the point of view of those people,
Yeah, like, I'm not
because
out
the idea
here.
that someone is less of a human if they disagree with your worldviews is astounding.
Like, I'm not out here like consistently like being like, yeah, like when we did the episode on transphobia, I wasn't out here being like, yeah, murder all transphobes. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's it's not like, if you are in your right
Each
mind, and
rich
if,
is a metaphor. We do not actually want to
like,
beat them.
don't murder rich people because they're rich. Like, that's not, like, that is the idea that you should not support a population, like in this case an oppressed population that is the victim of an apartheid, just because they are not woke like me, is insane. And the idea that the right wing people are trying to, or selling this idea that, because there's been a lot of rallies, if, like, for example, like a lot of parades, or like rallies, what is it, not rallies, there's been a lot of like LGBTQ plus groups that have come together and basically gone to like governments and like gone to town halls to like tell, like, to basically show that they support Palestine. And I saw a lot of people being like, oh, why does the queer community support Palestine when Palestine doesn't even support the queer community? It's like, bruh, what the fuck? It's, okay, cool. If the whole world was like that, we would all be fucked. Like, that is insane. The idea that one group cannot hope and cannot fight for another group's rights, or in this case, just to try to make sure that they aren't wiped off the face of the earth, just because they don't agree with, you know, Western woke shit, or whatever the fuck the right tries to sell.
But you know what is the one cause that everyone should get behind?
Supporting Politdigm through our
Yeah,
Patreon.
getting our Patreon. That was, you saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
proud. So, everyone, this is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for listening. As we have said at the beginning, we do have a Patreon, and you are not obliged to do anything, but if you do support us, we would be very thankful. If you support our Patreon, you will get access to the Q&A portion of the Discord. Unfortunately, this week we do not have a question. Nevertheless, you can always join the free section of the Discord where you can chat with us.
Yes, personally, and terrorize us with gifts.
Don't give them ideas. So, everyone, thank you very much for listening. We will
And
be there next week, hopefully with a blog about oil corporations.
yes, about Shell and how Shell are evil.
It's going to be fucking Nova. Uh,
Oh, you did it. I noticed it.
I
Uh, but
said Delta like at the beginning of the episode and it didn't say anything.
I didn't notice. But before I do sign off, I want to say, Alpha, I'm sorry that I talked so much this episode. but
We suck, trolls.
but you were dying inside today, so kind of probably was for the best.
Yeah, I am so exhausted.
And with that in mind, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye
Goodbye.
bye. Be good people.